Salutations, everybody. It's me, Nicole, and I'm here today without the kids. Why? Because of a DIY. So, if you're new here, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back. You know what to do to let us know if you like us or you don't and how to stick around. If you choose, we do greatly appreciate it. So this DIY is a collaboration going along with Year of the Ear. Year of the Ear is this incredible monthly reoccurring swap where we swap different ears. The amount of creativity and inspiration that each month is met with just is baffling and awe-inspiring so very much. And Mary and Tony decided they were going to utilize this as a platform to also share a DIY. So I did film. I filmed a couple. I made a lot of ears for this month. I was so inspired. I love the Festival of the Arts. If you didn't see my ear unboxing, I will go ahead and have that link down below, along with all the incredible channels that are participating in the DIY, the playlist of everybody that received for February, which was Festival of the Arts. Festival of the Arts is like that #1 festival I desperately want to go to. And if you're new here, I make these type of ears. I've made them for, I want to say, almost 6 years now. And I have created all sorts of different pairs throughout the years in different techniques and everything. So I made my reciprocant a pair of ears. These are not all the ones I have. These are just the ones that were easily available. Yes, I have a lot of dino ears. It's fine. But I go ahead and walk you through the process. I apologize now. It is long. This takes me multiple days. It takes me hours to complete certain steps. It is definitely not a very quick DIY, but if you would like to be able to have some kind of a unique shrinky dink wire ears in the way that I create them, I have filmed this for you. I'm not great with DIYs. I apologize. I try. Something always goes wrong, whether it's an angle or I speed it up a lot because I just don't want to bore you or give you information you don't need. So I thank you so much for watching. Please, because I have never seen anybody recreate them. If you create shrinky dink wire ears, these are all floral, but you will see that I ended up with a bow this time, which I do often too. But if you recreate a pair and you use any of this technique, whether it's just the wire wrapping or it is the shrinks, please tag me. I would love to see. I love seeing just creativity, how people are inspired by other things that they see or that they like. And I'm gonna go ahead and say I can't wait to watch everybody else's video because I'm sure that their creations are stunning. I know so many of them did time lapses of them painting, and yes, I did one of those too, but I'm choosing to upload this one just because it is very unique and I hope you enjoy. So thank you so very much already, and thank you Mary and Tony for this great idea, and thank you all of those that are participating in this DIY for sharing your creativity. Now let's get to making. And here we have primarily what you will need. I have a candle just for forming my ears. I also have some tools, some scissors and some snips and some jewelry wire tools. I utilize a hole punch. I have this 12 gauged wire. I prefer just a little bit thinner at like 16. It's just more pliable. Some jewelry wire in a variety of different colors that you would like. You will also need a shrinky dink plastic. I like the rough and ready. It just grips the color a little bit better. Obviously coloring tools, a headband, your ribbon, your finalization ribbon, a hot glue gun, or the glue of your choice. And I like to utilize some rulers. Now we are going to measure out the wire. Approximately 26 inches, and go ahead and cut that. I like to bend it in half just so I know where it's at, and then I'll get a good foot or better of my jewelry wire out of the roll. I don't like it to uncoil because it becomes far too hard to manage. We are going to gather each of the ends, and I like to form it on the thicker wire just for stability, and carefully wrap them around. When you have them secured, it is good to go ahead and clamp them down. That way they don't move as much, they don't hurt you if you touch them, you don't have sharp edges. So you can see me doing this here, and then it's round and round you go, making sure that each color is in the same order and nothing crisscrosses. This is absolutely a long process. This in itself for each pair of ears takes me at least an hour to wrap it. When I get just a little bit in, I'm going to fold over about 1.5 inches or so. That gives me a lever, and it is easier to twist the wire in the repetitive motion. You're going to have to trial and error this and figure out how it best works for you. When I get to the halfway mark, I will again do the same thing where I bend it in half and give myself that leverage to help twist, because my hands get tired and very sore. And as we near the end, I'm just careful to go through and make sure that the wire looks pretty good, and I'm going to clip the ends off, and again I'm going to use the clamp just to secure the end so I don't have sharp points, so that it doesn't move too much. And now that we're all done with the wire, I go through all of my old sketches. These are all forms that were used for the shrink wire ears, and when I decide that I don't want to use any of them, I will grab some more computer paper. I will Google image or Pinterest some different options, and I will get to sketching. Generally, I sketch out 3 to 5-ish different options just to make sure I'm really in love with the placement. Remember that the shrink plastic will shrink 1 to 1/3 of its original size. And then when you have all the sketches, you'll go ahead and choose which one you really like. I loved this Oswald and Mickey photo, so then I will gather all the colors I'm going to need. I will then put the shrink plastic over the sketch, and I will start with an outline of black. It just helps me to visually see it in case the paper underneath shifts. And once you have the outline, it is time to color. When coloring, just make sure you're saturating your space and you don't see any emptiness. That gives you that rich, colorful look. When utilizing the white, I like to utilize a metallic marker over it. And then I will go ahead and start the next ear. If possible, I will try to utilize the same piece of shrink plastic. It just saves me some money when buying. For this part, it is meant to replicate art. So I did not outline this. I wanted it more of a fluid painting type of a style. And that's what you see me doing here. And when you're all done coloring, you can go ahead and utilize a permanent marker for an extra added outline if you choose, and then just cut around the image. Making sure that you don't try to get too detailed because it will splinter the shrink plastic, and all of that you already did would be ruined. So once we have this completely cut out, I will then utilize my small hole punch, and I will add holes where I want my wire to go in to adhere the picture to the ears. So normally it's the bottom corner, it's a couple on the sides. I like to have at least 4 different points. Each point needs 2 holes right next to each other. And then you pop it in your toaster oven or oven per the directions. I do believe it's like 350 degrees, and then I like to use my toaster oven mainly for crafts. That's why it is so dirty, but it gives me the option to be able to watch it, and I like that. And once they are all dry and we have them shrunk down, we're going to start assembling them. So I get the middle mark of the wire that I had wrapped up, and I'm going to give myself about a 2.5 inch gap. Then I'm going to take both sides of the wire separately, and I'm going to form them around the candle, trying to flatten them out and make it as smooth as possible. The more you work with it, the more it is accessible. I want a uniform, round, circular ear. And I will duplicate it on the other side. Again, making sure I can smooth it out or flatten it if it has distorted at all. Be patient and find what works for you. But once I have the ears the way that I desire them, I'm going to fold it in half so I have a center mark, and then I'm going to push the two ends together. I want my ears slightly smaller and not overly large, and then I will form the end piece to the ear just by bending it slightly, making sure that I keep the round shape of the ear for the most part, and you can see me revisiting the candle. And then once I have it pretty well smoothed in the way that I want it, I'm going to check the sizing with a template that I have, and I'm going to take the tin snips or scissors and cut the very end. I prefer to leave a little over an inch. This is just to make sure that when I wrap the ribbon onto the headband, it securely puts the wire in place and it has something to hold on to. And now on to the placement of the headband. If you've watched any of my previous DIYs for ears, you know that I measure mine, and they're normally about 14 to 15 inches in length, and I put a center mark where I know that I want the middle of the ears to be. And then I'm going to cut from my ribbon that I'm going to use just tiny little 2-inch sections. I'm going to need 5 of these, 3 to secure the wire to the headband and 2 just for the end. When I have all 5, I'm going to slightly burn the edges just to create a seal so they don't unravel when I'm working with them. And then I'm going to adhere those little pieces to the headband, holding down the wire. It sounds complicated, but I'm trying my best. So first off, I put a little bead of hot glue onto the very tip of the headband, and then I will fold it over. This just gives a seal. I will cut the corners just so slightly. With those, I'm also going to heat seal them so that they don't fray, but this is to keep from bulking up. I'm very sensitive behind my ears, so I try to make them comfortable. Now we're going to adhere the headband. So placing the center mark where we know that it is and lining it up with the center of our ears, we are going to put a piece of the ribbon. I like to put the glue onto the ribbon and then press it down. This is a little hot, so if you're sensitive, please get the finger guards and whatnot. And when I am done adhering the top, I will then wrap the ribbon around, just adding a little bit more hot glue. When it comes to placing the little pieces of ribbon onto the end part of the ears, I like to make sure that I'm measuring from the very end of the headband up to where the ear stops, and then the in-between part of the ear, just to make sure that they are roughly the same distance. And once we have that, I'm going to start the ribbon wrapping process. At an angle, I will secure the ribbon onto it and then just go around adding a little piece of hot glue. I like to put it on the outside of my headband. That way it doesn't add bulk. And if I'm really warm or anything and I'm wearing it on my head, it doesn't alter the security of the headband too much. This is, again, a slow process. Make sure that when you get to the ears that you are securing that wire down and taking your time. A spool of ribbon that I use can go inside the ears just perfectly, but you do have to go one little dot at a time. When the ribbon gets all twisted up like it is now, it is a good time to let it unravel. It just saves energy, in all honesty, and frustration. And here I am, time to reload my glue gun. Do you all glue your new piece of glue to your old piece of glue? I do that. I just find it so much easier than having to push the glue back in. And go ahead and finish this wrapping process. And when we get to the very end, I will cut it off so that it will wrap back around and the end will be in the middle. Heat seal it and then glue it down. At this point, I like to just press my ears down and kind of smooth them out one final time. Try my best to make them look symmetrical and smooth. I have utilized another pair of ears that I made and just making sure that the ears are placed properly at an angle because you're wire wrapping them, which means that you can kind of make them a little more peaked bunny-like if you're not careful. And once I have them the way that I like them, I'm going to take the jewelry wire again and I'm going to cut them in little strips. Normally it's 5 to 6 inches a piece, depending on how many holes that I had punched in will determine how many little pieces I need. And now we're going to start adding the little wires to the shrink plastic. I like to fold mine in half and put them through. I like the top to have the wraparound and the back to have where I will twist it. I will twist it very tightly, however much I need before it gets to the wire. So with this, it is trial and error, and go ahead and just adhere all of them to the holes that you had previously punched. And now it's time to take those and put them onto the ear. Again, I just eyeball it and see where I like it, and then I'm going to secure normally the bottom 2 corners first, and I do this by wrapping one over and one under, if that makes sense. So I take one piece and put it on the back side of the wire and the other piece and put it on the front, and then I wrap it around 3 to 4 times per side. Make sure that I cut it off, and I use the clamp again to push it down, just trying to ease the sharp edges that can occur, and twist it and pinch it to make sure that it is tight and secure. I will then go to the other side generally and secure that one, and then work your way around. Understand that the less amount of space you have in between, the harder it is to work with, and the more you're going to need these jewelry pliers to help you. And now it is time to seal this, and I usually use a UV resin. And with that, you need some kind of UV light. So it could be sunlight or it can be a UV lamp, but that is the resin that I prefer to use. But always before the resin, I use a medium photo finish glaze just to make sure it's watertight and the resin doesn't blur the marker I have created. But with these, I'm just going to use the photo finish. I kind of want them to look painted, so if I do a crisscross with the photo finish, it almost gives that sealed painting effect. Plus, my UV resin has been not settling well and it's been shifting, which is really irritating, but you go ahead and seal your artwork the way that you choose. With these, I tend to do a flower crown, but I found this perfect ribbon, so I wanted to utilize it. It gives that painted look. So I added my bow. And now for the last touch is to put a little dab of glue on my felt ribbon that I like to utilize on the inside of my headband. I just put maybe an inch of hot glue beads, and then I press that down just for a more secure non-slip type of finish. And once we're all done with that and we sealed off the edges, I don't want any little hot glue streaks, so I take my heat gun, which is for paper crafting, and I just go ahead and heat up everything, and it takes those little wisps and it sucks them up. And now we have our finished product. I created so many ears for this month that it was hard. These are ones that I'm in the middle of making with pictures that I had shrunk down that I drew. I have some paint fabric. I have some stained glass fabric. I had some Thomas Kincaid fabric. I had some beads and I utilized those, and I just kept going. But these are the ones I DIY'd for you, mainly because I've never seen a DIY about them, and they are very intricate. They take me quite a few hours. This is a multi-day process for me, but I hope you like, and thank you so much for watching.